ways apart. We're all links in the chain. Hey guys, it's Lilly coming to you live from Las Vegas.
And it's LindaRose coming to you live from Maine.
I am seriously so excited to get to share this interview with you guys. I was actually the person we're interviewing today and we're going to be airing is one of my music idols. So it was really amazing just to get to talk to her.
And before this interview, I didn't know who she was, and I got to meet her and interview her, and it was such a great interview. I enjoyed it so much, and I'm so happy to maybe interview her again in the future, and I love this interview so much.
Absolutely. So before we went on, I just wanted to remind you guys of a few things that's going to be happening this month. Next week, it's not going to be a normal episode. We are doing a showcase, and we actually have 2 more spots left. So for any female performers or artists or anybody on here right now, just message us if you're interested in performing and doing a short live, and we can get you on in our lineup.
If I am correct, they are 30-minute time slots, so you really only have to be on for 30 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. And we won't be coming on again after the interviews. I hope you guys enjoy this episode.
Have a great day or great night.
Bye. Hey, thank you so much for coming on today and doing this interview. We were so honored to have the chance to get to talk to you for a little bit.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you. So for our first question tonight, we wanted to go ahead and start off with how did you discover your talent for music?
That's a good question. I think I always enjoyed music and I always enjoyed playing music when I was young. I started playing piano when I was around 3, and I think that passion just grew. I never really thought I was very talented at it. I always really enjoyed it, but I think my piano teacher from a young age knew that I really had a talent for writing music, and I think that's really where that started. I started writing songs on the piano when I was 6, and that really grew from there, but, I didn't really feel like I had talent for a long time. I just really liked it.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, that's a really great answer to that. It's so amazing that you started writing songs at 6. That's when I started playing the piano. I only started writing when I was 12. So that's really inspiring.
12 is still really young to start playing music. I don't know that any of the songs I wrote at 6 were very good. I don't remember them much, but I don't think they were very good.
No, probably.
Yeah, but it is good even if they weren't very good, which I started writing songs not that young, but I started writing songs when I was around 10. And I write lyrics to my songs. I just don't sing them because I have no talent in that area of music. But writing them at such a young age is so important because then you can grow more. And I save all my songs so I can see my growth. And sometimes I'll change them and stuff, which is great unless I change too much and then it's terrible. But we're
I
working.
totally get that, yeah. It's so hard. Sometimes it's really fun to go back to an old song and sort of update it and make it better, but then sometimes you, overthink things and you're like, "Wait, was it better before? Am I making it worse now?" I totally get that.
Yeah, you
Absolutely.
rehear it a million times before you're like, okay, maybe we should change that back. It's a whole
Yeah.
process.
I've
For
been working.
for our next question, we wanted to know about your journey about promoting yourself and how you got yourself heard as an artist.
It's a really good question. I think, it's the industry is ever changing. I mean, when I started, I was 16 and I first was just playing in coffee shops and I would put videos up occasionally on YouTube. When I first started in high school, I just had laptop recordings that I would put up on Facebook and YouTube and um they didn't really go very far and then I had help making nicer videos that I ended up putting up and um I didn't really start trying to really promote myself until a little bit later on. And then it was sort of trying to figure out how do you promote yourself as an independent artist? How do you tap into different sort of audiences? And it can be kind of exhausting trying to think of all of that, the algorithms and the advertisements and social media and trying to get people's attention can be really challenging. And I think what I realized is that, everybody's different and appeals to audiences in different ways, and you just have to figure out what works for you. And I think one thing that worked for me was just trying to go at things sort of sideways and find sort of unique ways to get my music out there, and I would try different things and different kinds of collaborations, and um yeah, it was definitely, and trying out different hashtags and different posts, and I still haven't figured out a lot of it. I'm still really bad at TikTok, and TikTok scares me and is hard hard to get hard to get it to work, but I think, it's ever changing. The industry is ever changing, and it's hard, but I think just trying different things, trying unique ideas, I think especially now everybody sees advertisements all the time and we get kind of tired of it. So if you can think of new ways to sort of promote yourself that are still authentic, but maybe a little bit more unique and a little bit different, kind of sideways ways to get yourself out there, that's always a really good way to go about it. Like we did these covers as the Hex Girls from Scooby-Doo. And, that's kind of fun because it has, there's fans of Scooby-Doo, it's sort of nostalgic, and then you have these people that are maybe looking up that song, and it's sort of a sideways way to sort of promote yourself as an artist to people, and it introduces you as an artist to people in a different way, and the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes covers were a big way to do that as well, but I also just had really fun doing those. But, yeah, I would just yeah, definitely try different things, try sort of untraditional ways to get your music out there, and you might be surprised.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for explaining that a little bit to us. I know I was really excited to hear your answer to that. I've been working really hard on trying to promote myself, and I was really interested to hear some of the insight and advice you have. And there was a lot of great stuff in there. I'm going to try to do a few of those things. I've been working hard on TikTok, and it is really hard.
It is hard, and if you can find, right now, I think there's so many artists. Like, before, I could do like, if a song got popular, I could think, "Oh, if I do a cover of this song really fast, then I'll be one of the first covers out," and sometimes that can work really well. Um, like, we did a cover of My Strange Addiction pretty soon after that Billie Eilish album came out, and that did pretty well. Um, but it's such a roll of the dice. You never know what people are gonna like, and now there's, as soon as a song comes out, there's already hundreds of people that have already put covers out. It's just, like, you can't even you have to kind of, you think of different ways and come up with sort of your own trick to it, I guess, and, what are your strong suits? What are people going to be like, "Oh, wow, this person is really amazing at this one thing," and really hone into that thing and find the way that you sort of appeal to different people, but it's different for everybody. I think that's what makes it really hard.
Absolutely, yeah. So for our next question tonight, when I first saw your covers, I know I was really interested because I saw you were learning the harp, you were playing the harp guitar in it. So I wanted to ask you, because the harp guitar is something I'm really interested in learning. What would you say was the easiest thing about your process learning it, and what was the difficult?
You could definitely learn to play the harp guitar. I think it looks way more intimidating than it actually is. It's actually, if you can play, it's sort of like just adding a bass note here and there, at least the way that I play it. Like, there's people who play it just amazingly well and do crazy things on it. I am not at that level yet, but it's easier than it looks, and I think the hardest part is figuring out how to mute the harp strings, because otherwise they'll just resonate for forever and start clashing with other notes. So if you pluck a harp string and then mute it with your palm, I think that's the hardest sort of thing to practice. But if you already play guitar, it's not too challenging to figure out, and it's really fun to play. It sounds so beautiful, and when I record it, I record the bass parts and the guitar parts separately, um, because it's easier to do it that way, easier to mix it so that the notes aren't conflicting too much and you can mix them really well. But there's definitely different tricks to it, and um, it looks really cool, so I recommend it. You could totally do it.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for explaining a little bit to me too. I'm right now saving up to get it, and I'm really excited to start learning it. And so that advice was really helpful.
That's exciting. I'm so excited. You're gonna be amazing. I know you already play guitar and piano, and I think it's gonna come to you pretty easily, honestly. I think you're gonna be awesome at it.
Oh, thank you. I'm really excited.
Yeah. For our next question, which is something I'm really curious about because this is a question I really like asking other artists because I love like asking myself this question because it kind of is a good self-reflection for me. What sets you apart from other artists?
Ooh. I think for me, it's I play a lot of instruments. I don't play anything, like, amazingly well, but I play a lot of instruments well, and when I do my shows on stage, I switch between instruments a lot, and I also play more than one instrument at the same time. I'll play percussion with my feet, I'll do a kick drum and a snare drum with my feet, and I'll play guitar and I'll sing at the same time, and I think a lot of people aren't able to do those things, and sometimes I'll do keyboard and a drum pad and kick drum and a snare drum, and I'll sing at the same time. It's definitely something I've practiced a lot and that I think makes me stand out a bit.
Totally. I
Yeah,
know I've seen some of your live performances where you're playing two different instruments, and it just baffles me because it took me a long time to master piano and vocal. I couldn't imagine adding in like drums or something. So that's like so amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I totally think anybody can do it though, honestly. It's like once you get it, you know? It's like the whole pat your head and rub your stomach thing. Like it's hard until something clicks and you're like, "Oh, okay, I can do this now."
yeah, that
Totally, yeah.
sounds extremely difficult. Like playing two different instruments and singing, that's pure talent. That's amazing. Like I I have 5 instruments and I know how to play one of them. So,
Yeah, it's hard. I feel like yeah, it's fun though, like, to feel like you feel, like, weirdly kind of superhuman in a moment because you're like, "Oh my gosh, I'm using all of my limbs for different things, and I'm not even thinking about it," and but if you think about it, like, your body's doing those things all the time. You're breathing, and you're walking, and you're thinking, and you're processing, and your whole body's doing all these things all at once, so it's sort of just we only use a small part of our brain. Maybe it's just, like, tapping into a little bit more of our brain.
Well, I loved your answer to that. It was really fun. Um, I'm really excited to ask you this question because I know what got me looking at your YouTube channel and your covers was I came through your Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes covers. So I was wondering what sparked your idea to start doing those and like take the lyrics and make the melody.
Yeah, I was reading the book. My best friend was reading the book too, and she was super frustrated because she couldn't imagine what the songs would sound like. And she basically like begged me to make one of the songs into an actual song. So I did it. I grabbed my guitar and I sat down and I made it. The first one I did was the one she does during her interview. And she loved it and she was like, "You have to put that up on YouTube." And so we filmed it and put it up and um sure enough, people really liked it, and they're like, "You have to do the other ones too," and I really loved the process. I was really enjoying the book anyway, and it was really easy for me to sort of read and imagine what they might sound like. Some of the songs were a little more challenging for me, but, um, it was really fun, and I enjoyed the process a lot, and I was really glad that it was able to sort of help other people who couldn't really imagine it in a musical way, and it's also been really cool to see all of the different kinds of interpretations of the songs. There's so many other really talented musicians that made different versions of those same songs, and it's a really cool sort of peek into how sort of uniquely different we all are and the different ways we sort of interpret those melodies, and it's just really I've really enjoyed it a lot.
Absolutely. I know when I was reading the book, it was really hard to imagine the melodies. I was like YouTubing, and then I've listened to all of your different ones for those, and they're all amazing, seriously.
Thank
And
you.
I was watching one of your interviews you've done in the past too, and you said that Susan Collins has heard one of your covers, and that's just like so amazing. Um, I know one time Rachel Platten liked one of my songs, and I'm a huge Hunger Games fan, so I couldn't imagine what I would do if like Susan Collins ever actually like heard one of
Oh my
anything.
gosh. Yeah, it's been amazing, like, it's sort of bittersweet because of the whole situation that's been happening with Lionsgate, but I feel like at least I know that there's so many people that have enjoyed them, and I know that she's seen them, and I know that a lot of the people working on the film have seen them, and that makes me really happy because it's like yeah, I'm really excited. I'm really excited to see what they do in the movie and sort of what they end up I hope they put all the songs in the film. I can't imagine any of those songs being taken out, you know? I feel like they're all so important to the story, so it's I'm I'm really excited. I feel like it's just gonna be it's like a Hunger Games musical, you know? It's so cool. I'm so excited.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to see it too.
Yeah, me too. I mean, Hunger Games is great, so
Yes.
gonna have to do a good job on that one because sometimes they'll make a movie or something with The Fault in Our or Everything, two of my most favorite books. I made a TikTok about Everything on our page. The movie to Everything was terrible,
Mm.
absolutely terrible, and that was so sad. Like I wanted it to be good, but it
Yeah,
wasn't.
especially when you're so invested in a story and the characters and you have such high hopes for it. It's really hard. I feel like I have really high expectations for this film too, especially after putting all this effort into the songs. I'm like, I have such high expectations for it, so I hope it's good. But I think it'll be really good because they're already announcing, like, actors, and they're really talented actors and singers, and so I feel like it's gonna be I feel like it's gonna be
I'm so
good.
excited. So, I'm actually on Monday. It's my sister's birthday, and she wanted to go to. There's in Vegas. We have this thing called the Hunger Games Expedition, and we're going to be going there. And it like has like it's like a museum. They even have all the dresses there, so I'm so excited.
That's so cool. Oh my gosh, okay, and so what do you like, do you get to just explore and look at all the stuff? Like,
Yeah, you can record your own propaganda, and they have all the props there.
that's so cool.
I'm so excited.
You better take lots of pictures.
Oh, I will.
That's so cool. I'm really excited about that. I didn't even know that was a thing. That's
I
so
think it's
cool.
yeah, it's pretty new here in Vegas.
Is that where you live? Are you in Vegas?
I lived in Las Vegas. I live in Las Vegas. I moved here like 2 years ago.
That's cool. I can't imagine like, my idea of Vegas in my head is probably just, like, super Hollywood version of Vegas.
It's I mean like the strip is where everything is. So everywhere else is just normal.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
For our
Yeah.
next question, we wanted to ask you what piece of advice you give for younger incoming artists.
Mm. I'd say the best thing you can do for yourself is sort of spend time and figure out who you are as a person and who you are as an artist. And it's okay to sort of experiment and try different things, but to try to figure out who it is that you are. I think that's probably the hardest journey of being an artist is sort of identifying the kind of art that you want to make and what's important to you as a person. And because I feel like the people who do that and take that time, the art that they create is very authentic and real and meaningful and that's one of the coolest things you can do is just to take the time to figure out who you are as a person and create art that is authentically you. Because that's going to be so moving and so beautiful and so meaningful to so many other people. Um, yeah, that's what I would say.
Absolutely. I loved that piece of advice. It's so important. It's probably one of my favorite like advice that we've got here on the show. So thank you so much for talking to us a little bit about that because that's so great.
Thanks. Yeah.
For our next question, because I wanted to ask you this because I know you have like songs out and stuff, and I'm getting ready to start recording my first EP. So I wanted to ask, what surprised you most about recording music in a studio for the first time?
Mm. Recording in the studio is kind of hard for me because I feel like I've been learning so much about music production myself, and I do a lot of my own recording at this point. Um, but in the studio, it's a lot different, and sometimes there's a lot of pressure for time, you know, like because you have to pay for all of that time, and so you have to make sure you're doing everything really efficiently. And I feel like I wish some of my earlier studio experiences, I wish that I had sort of really figured out exactly what I wanted to do, especially if you're sort of co-producing or making a lot of the creative decisions. Going in with a really clear game plan is really smart. Otherwise, you're gonna feel really stressed out because you don't really know exactly what you want. You're still trying to figure it out. Um, and then also sort of pushing past the nerves. It can be kind of nerve-wracking feeling like you're performing in front of like a really small group of people and they're all paying they're all just paying really close attention to you and what you're doing and if it sounds good or not. And I think that like pushing past the nerves, focusing on what you want to create, having a really clear vision for what you want to create, but also being open to feedback. That can be one of the hardest things. Sometimes it's easy to like feel offended if somebody doesn't like something or if they have an idea that's different than what you want to do with something. But I've learned that sometimes those are the best ideas, and being open to that means that you might be able to create something even more beautiful and even better than what you thought you could make. And so being open to ideas, but also knowing that you can say no to ideas, if you don't like them, because there's also bad ideas out there. So, like, have a clear vision, enjoy it, and yeah, it can be kind of stressful, but I like it. It's also really magical at the same time.
That's so great to hear. Thanks so much for talking to us a little bit about that. I know there was a lot of great insight on there. I'm thinking about, I think I'm going to be self-producing my EP just because I have a studio right here in my house. It's actually in my dining room. So
That's awesome. Yes. That's so much better because you can take your time with it and experiment with different ideas, and like learning production was one of the best things I ever did for myself, because I like the songs I did for Songbirds and Snakes were sort of the first songs I ever produced myself. And it was like one of the coolest things for me because I learned so much about myself as an artist, but I also like having the ability to express all of your ideas to their fullest potential is one of the most freeing things as a songwriter, because I know when you're writing a song, and you guys know this, like you have a vision for what you want it to sound like, and being able to execute that vision is so freeing and like fulfilling. So I'm excited for you. I think you're going to make beautiful music.
thank you. Yeah, and thanks so much for talking to us a little bit about that too.
Absolutely. I'm so excited. You guys are both so talented too. Lily, I've loved your videos and all of your covers, and I love that you're both songwriters, and I'm excited to see all of the music that you both make.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, for our next question, what's different about creating a music solo versus creating it with a band?
Having people who really know their instruments really well is so amazing, and you get somebody to play on your song and you're just like, wow, this song is so much better now. I was doing like these basic chords, and this person just brought something so unique and more complex and textured to the song that is so, it just elevates it to the next level.
Wow, that's amazing. Yeah. For our next question, you had your music played on a movie, right?
Yes, yeah. I've had a couple songs in films, which is really exciting.
That's so exciting. That's one of something that I'm working towards with my music. I want to get into music sync licensing. So I was wondering if you could talk to us a little bit about your journey with that.
Absolutely. I've been really lucky because I've worked on a few films, and in that process, I've had some really lucky experiences. For this Western film I worked on, it was a small enough crew that I got to get to know the director and the actors and stuff. And I wrote this song on set, and they ended up putting it in the film as the end credits song, which was really incredible. And that was just a really lucky scenario for me. And I've had a couple of other sort of lucky situations where my friend was working on a television series called Trinkets that's on Netflix, and I was also an extra on that, and I wrote a song that was sort of loosely based around this story, and they ended up putting it in the background of one of the scenes. You can't really hear it at all, but it's in the car, playing on the radio, and that was really cool for me. And um, so far, like a lot of them have just been sort of like sideways ways of getting my songs into those films and shows, and um, but I did just sign with a sync and licensing company, and I signed a publishing deal with them, and that I'm excited to see where that goes. But it's really interesting. It's a whole market now. There's people out there that just write songs to be placed in film and television. Like that's the entire intention behind the song. Like, I'm going to write a song that could be placed in an indie film. And that's how they write the song and the genre that they created in. And it's an entire market now, and some people are really amazing at it. And and you have such a beautiful voice. You have a perfect voice for that. And I think doing, just that beautiful. There's so many like indie films and Netflix shows that use songs that have that just really beautiful feminine voice, and it doesn't have to be super complicated. It doesn't have to be a big arrangement, but just something that has a lot of heart in it, I think has a good chance at getting placement.
Oh, thank you so much. That means a lot to me, especially coming from you. And yeah, I know I've heard some of your songs. I know I heard it's called the one that was in the Western film, and it is amazing. So I love getting to hear you talk a little bit about your journey with that. I
Thank
actually
you.
have a friend, Kendra Dantes, who got her music played in the season premiere of Lucifer. So I've just been, and she was one that really, like, you and her inspired me to start looking into music sync licensing. So I always love getting asked these questions.
Yeah, and it's really smart. You know, it's hard to make a lot of money as a musician these days, but that is one of the greatest ways to do it if you can tap into that market, especially if you get a placement in a big commercial or a big show. It can pay a decent amount of money, and that's really nice. Like, every time you can make money with music, it's like really great. So I recommend it for
Absolutely.
sure.
Totally. Yeah. Thank you.
For our last question tonight, what has been your journey with sync licensing?
Yeah. So I started it really started with me working on films as an extra, and I also worked as a sound utility on a few independent films. So sort of working behind the scenes really is where really how it started, and messaging people and talking to people, making connections with people on set. I also did an independent film that I acted in, and I wrote music for it. And I just did another film. I acted in a film called Powder Pup. And I don't know how big that movie's gonna be. I heard that we're gonna get a theatrical release, but might just be like one movie theater in Montana. I have no idea how big it's gonna be. Technically, also a Lionsgate film, and should be coming out next year. And I wrote on set because I'm now friends with the director. I wrote on set a song to be the sort of end credit song for that film, and um, that's been sort of a really good way for me to tap into that world. And I would recommend, like, there's a lot of independent filmmakers and local filmmakers that are probably looking for music to put in their films, and you won't get as much money for the smaller films. Um, Sometimes I've given people music for free, you know, depending on how big they were, but it's a good place to start. And I think, you know, making those connections with smaller filmmakers, local filmmakers, is a really good way to get your music in smaller films and then sort of growing from there. Yeah, I would recommend that for sure.
Wow, yeah, there's a lot of great advice in there, and thank you so much for talking to us about that. I know I was looking at your Instagram and I saw you talking about your the new movie you were acting in, and that is so amazing.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm really excited for it. My character's a snowboarder, and I had a stunt double that did all these cool stunts and makes me look amazing. So I'm really excited about it.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, he was like a 6 foot tall guy, and I'm pretty short too, so it's really funny. Like, I don't know if you'll probably be able to notice that, like, I'm suddenly like a foot taller and much hairier in the shots.
Thank you so much again for coming on here to talk to us for a little bit. I was so honored to have you come on and do an interview, and we're so excited to get to air this.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. You're both amazing, and I'm so grateful for just the support and getting to talk to you both. You're both so talented, and I'm excited.
Thank
Gonna make
you.
some great music.
Oft I'd heard of Lucy Gray, and when I crossed the world, I chanced to see at break of day the solitary child. No mate, no comrade Lucy knew, she dwelt where none abide, the sweetest thing to ever roam upon the mountainside. As carefree as a mountain flow, a brand new path she broke. Her feet dispersed the powdery snow that rose up like the smoke. The storm came on before its time. She wandered up and down, and many a hill did Lucy climb, but never reached the town. Her mournful parents all that night went shouting far and wide. There was neither sound nor sight to serve them as a guide. They wept and turning homeward cried, in heaven we shall meet. When in the snow the mother spied the print of Lucy's feet. And then an open field they crossed, the marks were still the same. They dragged them on, not ever lost, into the bridge they came. They followed from that snowy bank those footmarks one by one into the middle of the plank, and further there were none. Yet some maintain that to this day she is a living child. There you may see sweet Lucy Gray upon the lonesome wild.